Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. We are doing this really easy fun fold card using the Lighter Than Air Suite collection that's on pages 32 through 34 of the Spring Mini that's going to be retiring at the end of this month, and that is what it looks like. And like I said, it's really easy to do. So we're doing this entire suite collection here, and up to the top right with the black cardstock, you can see the die cuts that come along with it. And last week I told you that we were going to be using the Latte Love Suite collection. I changed my mind because I'd featured that not too long ago. So that is my sample card that I made just to kind of, wing this one. Well, not wing it, but I winged that one. But this one here, so it'd go right on video and everything. So with this suite collection, you get, it's a pretty big one too. You get the stamp set with all those darling little balloon images there that you can build, lots of color options, sizes, all those die cuts, and again, lots of standalone die cuts. And I'm going to show them to you later on in the video. You have the 6x6 designer series paper, and the colors in this suite collection are Flirty Flamingo, Petal Pink, Lemon Lolly, Pool Party, Azure Afternoon, Balmy Blue, Bubble Bath, and Fresh Frieza. And I'm kind of focusing on, well, a lot, Balmy Blue and Azure Afternoon for this card with the base and the layering. So I do have 3 designer series papers going on in this card that I use, but great selection of prints there. And I like that it's 6x6 because, I mean, I'm more of a card maker than anything else, so it's easier to work with. Then you get the twine that you see off to the left, and then the rainbow adhesive dots. All of that is carrying over to the new catalog that will be the annual catalog that will be available, in 3 weeks or so. And if you do want to pick it up, you want to pick it up now at the bundle price. The designer series paper is not carrying over, but I'm doing something new this year to where if there's products carrying over and there's paper that's not carrying over, I'm keeping the paper because why not? And why not use it up? So you get all those cute little dies that you can mix and match in 3 different little baskets that you can use. And I love that little banner that you see there at the top right. And then the balloons come in 2 different shapes of a heart or like a regular balloon. So we're going to get into cutting now a little bit. That is going to be the flap of the fun fold, and that is going to measure 3 across by 5.5 down. And then at the top there, you want to score it by 1 inch, and then put tear and tape exactly where I have it there. And the designer series paper, you want to cut 2 of this, and that is going to be 2 3/4 across by 4 1/4 down. And I'm just putting that down with liquid adhesive onto Azure Afternoon cardstock. And then our card is going to be A2 side folding because I need that flap to go over the top. And more of that Lighter Than Air designer series paper that I'm adhering down with liquid adhesive, and that's pretty much the entire fun fold. And if you didn't write down the measurements, don't worry about it. Everything will be over on the blog at cindybdesigns.com, and there will be a link to the blog post directly under this. So I'm pulling off the tear and tape now, and I'm going to lay it down right at the top there, and I'm turning it to the side because normally I'm right on top of it, but I don't want to get my head in there. So you can see what I'm doing. It's really that's it. It's really that simple. So I'm using my bone folder just to get that, give a little bit extra pressure to that adhesive that's already tacky enough. So you can cut images with the die cuts out of our designer series paper on most, with most everything that has paper and die cuts with it that we have in our product line. So you can see me line it up there. And if you notice, there's like a little shadow outside that you can see on the balloon there to the right. And our dies are really close to the cut line. So just as long as I'm seeing the entire image inside the die, then I know I have it right, and it works out perfectly. So I'm using some low tack tape to get the die cuts down on the paper so it stays through as I'm cranking it through the mini Stampin' Cut and emboss machine. And I actually have new plates on this time around so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to pull that in and then put the top plate on and run it through there real quick. And then when I pull it off, you'll be able to see how perfectly everything cut and how simple that is. And I don't know if you can hear the tornado sirens or not, but I don't see one, so it's okay. So that is what we are looking like so far. And you can, again, pick and choose any of the little basket die cuts that you want to put underneath it, on top of it. And that's another option that you have, to put different die cuts on top of the designer series paper. And for that one right there, it's mainly for use in a large balloon, because unless you want to cut it down, it's really up to you. So now I'm bringing in that balloon image there, and I'm going to get that down along with our sentiment that we have from our hot air balloon stamp set. And again, this is photopolymer, and that comes with 12 images. So I'm putting the balloon and the sentiment down in Azure Afternoon, and I accidentally had like 2 pieces of paper lined up there. So I'm going to ink up those impressions really quick, and I'm going to lay them down twice, lay them down to get a good impression, because I really didn't like the way the first one turned out. And that tool I use there is called a Chucky, like a Chucky, like the doll. And you can pick it up on Amazon. It just really helps apply even pressure to your images. So that is going to be the second impression. And I'm going to jump off real quick and look outside. Okay, now that that's over with, those are my impressions, and I'm going to wipe it up real quick. You've heard me talk about how blue ink stains. It's mainly the darker colors like Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight, the super dark reds, Rich Razzleberry. But the Azure Afternoon, not so much. So I putting down my little basket image there, and I'm going to ink that up with Balmy Blue. And if I recall, I'm going to be happy with the first impression, and then we're going to put the die cuts on it and get them put down with that really low tack tape that I use, the blue tape, and run that through the Stampin' Cut and emboss machine. So there are my die cuts. And I thought I edited this part out where, I hope this isn't getting too boring, but I was thinking that, okay, maybe it's going too fast and I need to slow down because I'll stumble over my words. And I'm going to use that die cut to cut out the sentiment, which is designed to do. And it looks like it's a really tight fit, but it's not. And it's going to adhere perfectly over that balloon that we're die cutting out as well. So once again, I'm pulling back in our machine, going to go ahead and crank that through. But when you get your new catalog at the end of this month, lots and lots of changes. There's a ton of carryovers from the spring catalog, which I'm absolutely thrilled with. A lot of new products coming up, and I will have a box to show you, hopefully Thursday or Friday. And honestly, if I get around to it, because I have a busy weekend packed, but I'm going to do my best to do that. So we're going to get everything just cut out and adhere down. So I already put down some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of our little sentiment there, and I'm going to lay that right across the top. And earlier there, you can see the perforations around the sentiment, and it lines up perfectly when you're putting it down on top of the balloon. And I was going to use glue dots and change my mind at the last minute to go with liquid adhesive, and brought in my silicone craft mat to do that with, because I didn't want glue getting all over my glass mat. It's a drag to clean up. And I don't know what was going on with my exposure there. It's been really, really funky, crazy weather here lately, and I mean, my dog doesn't even know what's going on. So I got the basket down, and I am putting on Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of that balloon. So now I am pulling in our card base, and I'm winging where I want to put that balloon, and I have no idea what just happened there. Oh, you know what? I decided to do another die cut of cutting out that little banner from Balmy Blue just to add a little, cute to it. Then I'm going to go ahead and get that adhered down after I tie some of that balmy blue and white variegated ribbon around the top. And that is going to be retiring in a month, and I'm really going to miss that. So I'm just going to fudge around with a bow for a little while and twist it and turn it until I get that good knot at the top there. And actually succeed in getting it done within a decent amount of time, when I'm filming. So I'm kind of winging it there and then pulling the ribbon over on the right. It would go over the bow, and it's like, oh, that's not going to work. So I'm just going to tuck it underneath real quick, and it works out perfectly. And then go ahead and get that snipped. And then we are going to go on with getting this card put together. So I'm pulling the dimensionals off the back of the balloon, and I'm going to get that adhered to the front of the flap there, like you're seeing. And then eventually put two of those little rainbow adhesive back dots, the smaller ones, in balmy blue over to the side, just to, accent a little bit. Straighten up the ribbon on the inside when you open it up. And then we are going to do, I guess, the first inside next. So I've already die cut those two balloons from the designer series paper, and I'm pulling back in my silicone sheet again. And a lot of times you don't have to do this, it's just something I prefer to do. I will go ahead and take that die and cut another piece of paper of the same color and adhere it behind that. I gotta snip that off a little bit because I cut the wrong die, but it still works out. Just to give it a little bit more stability. And again, that's a personal choice right there. And so what I'm going to do now is get my basket adhered to the bottom of like my balloon mat there with liquid adhesive on both of the balloons. And then take my designer series paper and adhere it to the top. But in the meantime, I'm going to let it set up a little bit so everything stays in place. So after my adhesive has set up, I'm taking the designer series paper and putting some Tombow Mono on the back of that and adhering it to the top of my mat there. And the baskets are in between the cardstock and the designer series paper, like the little teeny tiny tips. So no worries about that ever coming undone or anything like that. So once again, I'm going to let the glue get set up, and those are going to be adhered inside with Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of the balloons. Now I'm lifting that flap up there, as you see, because that way when you close the top, I don't want the images sticking out. But that's really up to you how you want to decorate your card. And what I just pointed out there, you don't want to put your glue dot over towards, not your glue dot, but your Stampin' Dimensional or any adhesive over that, because you're going to have I'm having the balloons overlap a little bit. So I'm just keeping a mental note of that, or you can mark it on the back of your balloon there. Just to keep all the adhesive straight, because when you're working with Stampin' Dimensionals, you want to keep the elevation the same, so when someone opens up the card, it's not often looking wonky or anything like that. Now on my sample card, I did not use Stampin' Dimensionals on the inside. I just used liquid adhesive, and it did close easier, but this still closes okay, like the flap coming over the top, it still closes just fine. So I'm popping the balloons down there, taking the Stampin' Dimensionals off the back, getting everything rearranged, and now we are going to be moving into for the inside of our card. So I have a piece of balmy blue cardstock there that is cut to 1x4 and a piece of designer series paper from Lighter Than Air, and that's cut to 3/4 of an inch by 4. And I'm adhering that down to the inside of a piece of basic white cardstock that is 4 across by 5 1/4 down. And I'm bringing in the Stamparatus that is no longer available, and our sentiment from Hot Air Balloon. That's going to go down in Azure Afternoon as well. And, you know, that way it kind of goes with the outside sentiment being in the same color. And I think I'm only going to do one impression on that. Yeah, because I was pretty happy with it. And that is what we are looking like so far. Like I said, simple, easy card to do. And I apologize for kind of being out of frame here and there. I wasn't paying attention when I was getting everything together. So that little strip there is going to go at the bottom of our card base about, oh, 1/2 inch up. And I'm using the grid paper to line that all up. And that pretty much finishes off our card, and that easy. I'm just going to open it up, and I'm putting seal on the back of that and lay it down. And that is how easy this card is to make. You can dull it up as much as you want, dull it down as much as you want. Pretty easy to mass produce, I mean, in my opinion. And that is going to be it. So there's 2 ways, like I said earlier, that you can close this flap if you want without using the ribbon, because I did put some bulk and dimension on there. And so that is a sample card that I have where the dimension is mainly on top, and you can see where I adhere the coffee with liquid adhesive at the bottom there or inside. And the flat doesn't pop up as much. And you could take off the ribbon and even do it that way if you want to. I mean, lots of options that you can do. And that is the card that we made today. So I do thank you for joining me and hope that you enjoyed this video. Be sure to stop by next Wednesday. I always have something up around noon. And there are our cards. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you again next time.